Hi, Miss Marble here. Today we're going to be talking about the mean absolute deviation, or also referred to as M.A.D. So whenever you see M.A.D, they're probably talking about mean absolute deviation. Now, the definition of this is the average distance between each data value and the mean. Right? We're going to go ahead and break this down a little bit. So the mean is the average. Okay? And then absolute deviation is the distance between the data value, which is just the numbers in your data, and the mean. Now, when you're trying to figure out the mean absolute deviation, it's not hard, but it's very long and there's multiple steps. So in total, there's about 3 steps that you have to do in order to figure out the mean absolute deviation. And I'm going to write those steps down for you, and then we're going to do an example. So the first step that you're going to do is you're going to find the mean. Okay, you're going to find the mean. The second step is that you're going to subtract the mean from each number using absolute value. Okay. And then the last step, step 3, is you're going to find the mean of the new numbers, which the new numbers are called the absolute deviations. So those are the steps that you have to do in order to figure out the mean absolute deviation. So we're going to go ahead and do an example together. So the example that we're going to be doing together is with the data 6, 5, 3, 1, and 6. So we're just going to do the steps. So the first step is we're going to figure out the mean. So step 1, find the mean. Okay. Now, in order to figure out the mean, we're going to take our data numbers and we're going to add them together. So we're going to do 6 plus 5 plus 3 plus 1 plus 6. And then we're going to divide by the number of values you have. So in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. So we're going to divide by 5. Now when we add 6 plus 5 plus 3 plus 1 plus 6, you should get 21. And again, we're going to be dividing by 5. So we have 21 divided by 5, which is 4.2. So the mean is 4.2. Okay, step 1 complete. Step 2 is we're going to subtract the mean from each number using absolute value. So we're going to go ahead and go to step 2. Now remember, we use this for absolute value, a bar, right? So we're going to take the absolute value, and we're going to take our first number, which is 6. And then we're going to subtract it by the mean, which we figured out was 4.2. And when we subtract, we'll get the absolute value of 1.8. But remember that the absolute value is the distance from 0. So the absolute value of 1.8 is 1.8. We're going to take the absolute value of our next number, which is 5, minus our mean. And we should get the absolute value of 0.8. The absolute value of 0.8 is 0.8. Then we're going to take our next number, which is 3. So absolute value of 3 minus our mean. This equals negative 1.2. But remember, it's the absolute value of negative 1.2, which is 1.2. Our next number is 1, so we have the absolute value of 1 minus 4.2, which is the absolute value of negative 3.2. The absolute value of negative 3.2 is 3.2. And then our last number is 6, so we're going to do the absolute value of 6 minus 4.2, which is the absolute value of 1.8, which is 1.8. Step 2 is done. So we're going to go ahead and go to step 3. So we're on step 3 now, which is to find the mean of the new numbers, the absolute deviation. So the new numbers that we have are 1.8, 0.8, 1.2, 3.2, and 1.8. So in order to figure out the mean, we're going to add those all together. So we're taking 1.8 plus 0.8 plus 1.2 plus 3.2 plus 1.8. And we're going to divide by how many numbers we have, which in this case are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to divide by 5. Now when we're dealing with this, we add 1.8 plus 0.8 plus 1.2 plus 3.2 plus 1.8. We should get 8.8. Still 5 on the bottom, so we're going to go ahead and divide. When we divide, we should get 1.76. Now, for your assignment, I'm going to have you round to the nearest tenth, which means 1 after the decimal. So in this case, this would need to be rounded up to 1.8 as your final answer. And that's the mean absolute deviation. Okay. For your assignment, you have a Desmos activity. If you have any questions, please let me know. Have a great day.